Send in the red shirts.
And we're back. I went to YouTube and checked the last video that I put up for the finale of Star Trek Discovery, and it was February of 2018. So nearly a year later, we get our first episode from season 2. What did I think about it? I'm kind of on the fence, I gotta be honest with you. Just as in last season, the effects and the visuals were top notch. I felt like I was watching a feature film. They didn't scrimp on the budget, they doubled down. I was concerned that spending so much money on effects would mean that there wasn't enough budget to produce more than 13 shows, but apparently they said, to hell with that. We're gonna make this look as good as we can. Okay, good on them. That's what they decided to do. I thought Anson Mount as Captain Pike, he looked the part. I thought he had presence. I had some issues with him, but we'll get into that in the second part of this review. I knew going into this last year that they were going to do this series through the point of view of Michael Burnham, which I was fine with. However, I didn't realize it was going to be at the expense of the rest of the crew. I've always said that one thing that makes Star Trek so endearing to me is that the bridge crew is like our family, and it's more of an ensemble cast. So there are certain positions on the ship that we have become so familiar with that they are like sacrosanct. That's not the case with this series, but in this episode, we at least got to meet everyone. I've got a name to everyone now, because one of the first things that Captain Pike does when he sits in that center chair is he asks for roll call, and everyone goes down the line and gives us their name. And I was so pleased to see that, because I thought, well, maybe this means that it's going to be an ensemble cast now. We're going to get more of that family feeling that we got watching the captain, the first officer, the science officer, the comm, the helmsman, the doctor, the engineer, all of these positions that were all leads in every other Star Trek series. I also like that the writers attempted to explain some of the things I had issues with. Now, even though they were kind of weak explanations, kind of throwaway explanations, one of them being that Pike has a line that he says that explains why he's wearing a different uniform, the uniforms that I'm used to seeing on TOS, even though they are tweaked a little bit. He says something like, well, we have the new uniforms. So, okay, that's fine. I will assume that in season 1, while they were away in the mirror universe and dealing with the war, the Klingon war, they weren't able to go to a star base and pick up the new issue uniforms. Okay, fine. The other thing is that they explain why the Enterprise has transferred Pike over to the Discovery because of whatever this phenomenon is that they're going to get involved with. It left the Enterprise completely lifeless, or not lifeless, but dead in the water. And so Pike needed to get on the Discovery to go find out what's going on. Now, I don't know if the rest of you Trek fans out there are going to agree with me, but it kind of hurt me a little bit to see the Enterprise gets kind of short-shrifted or plays second paddle, or whatever the phrase is, to the Discovery. There's a shot where we see the Discovery go off in the warp and the Enterprise is just sat there. And I was like, no, the Enterprise... I get it, but the Enterprise, you got to motivate why Pike is on a Discovery, but the Enterprise deserves better than that. It kind of hurt me a little bit to see that. There's I'm going to call it the key scene in this episode, and that was when Captain Pike, Michael Burnham, and some crew member that arrived on Discovery with Pike, I don't remember his name, they launched 3 pods into an asteroid field to do an away mission on the USS Hiawatha, which had crash landed on one of the asteroid debris in the field. That scene, I have to give it to it. That scene was like something straight out of a feature film with $1 million budget. It was amazing. It was amazing. But that's going to lead me into the issues I had with the episode. You know, once I peel back the layers of that onion, about how brilliant that scene was, I peel it back, and it really, a lot of it didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense, and this is another issue I had. They're doubling down on the technology in this supposedly prime universe. One of the big things was that the technology is leaps and bounds beyond what we saw on the original series. So I'm convinced that as much as they want to say this is a prime, set in the prime universe, It's got to be Kelvin. I mean, I don't know who they think they're fooling. But anyway, they launched these 3 pods, which we've never seen before in Star Trek, into an asteroid field. Now, I don't know, I have to watch the series again. Usually I like to watch the episodes twice so I get my facts straight. I didn't get a chance to watch this one a second time. But it makes no sense that you would launch pods that are like 90% glass into a dense asteroid field. And I'm going to spoil, I did put a warning up there that, you know, one of the captain's sidearm or whatever, a sidekick, he basically explodes because his pod hits an asteroid. And then an asteroid, a little fragment of an asteroid hits pod's glass display and starts to crack the display. Who didn't see that coming? This scene reminded me of the scene in that god-awful film, Star Trek Into Darkness, the second Kelvin film, where Kirk and Cumberbatch, Khan, have to launch themselves through space in a debris field to reach the other ship. It was exciting, but ridiculous. I also didn't like the fact that now the USS Discovery, which is a Starfleet vessel, has retractable cameras on the underbelly. Now, okay, I'm a Star Trek fan. Someone out there's got to agree with me that that's insane. You know, since its inception at 50 years ago, you know, we have a sense of how things work on a starship. When Starfleet encounters a situation like the Discovery crew encounters in this asteroid field, what's the first thing they would do or should do? Launch a probe. There are no cameras on a Starfleet vessel. You launch a class 1, 2, 3, or 4 probe. You get the telemetry back. Then you can decide if it's safe to go in there. But rotating cameras? Come on. And then there's that gravity device that they use to extract one of the asteroids from the field. I have to watch the episode again, but that's not typical Starfleet technology that I'm used to seeing in an episode that takes place prior to the original series. I keep harping on that, I know. Had they structured season 1 a little bit differently, where they gave us an engineer, what they should have done, or what I think they should have done is, you know, on any other episode, TNG, DS9, you know, O'Brien or Geordi or Scotty, they'd say, you know, Captain, I think I can rig something together that will create a inverse, you know, baryon field or whatever technical babble you want to use, which is acceptable in Star Trek. And that justifies them creating something that we've never seen before. It's not that difficult, people. I want to get into the characters now. Michael Burnham. As much as I like her character, as much as I think she's a badass and she's got some depth, she's interesting, they really got to give me a more three-dimensional character here. I can't really take much more of Michael walking around the ship scowling and frowning all the time and looking so burdened. They got to give me something with her where she knows how to actually enjoy what life she does have, the life that she has. Okay, maybe she's still feeling some grief from not having a good relationship with Spock, but how long ago was that? Shouldn't it have been tempered by now? I really need her to, okay, here's what I'm going to say. I need her to lighten up. I need her to relax. Tilly, love her character. I liked her in the short trek, even though I didn't think that short trek was very good overall, but I liked her. However, she's starting to get a little grating. They're starting to move her more to the comic effect side. Okay, she's got to be a three-dimensional character too. Don't go the opposite spectrum with her to balance out Michael. Saru, I like Saru. He's one of my favorite characters. I was a little put off when he kept quoting regulations to Captain Pike, who should know them. But then I remembered, well, Star Trek 2. Lieutenant Savick, who kept quoting regulations to Kirk, so I let that slide. Although, I think when you enter a turbo lift with a captain, you should move to the rear and let the captain stand in front. That's just me. Speaking of Pike, I said earlier that I thought Anson Mount looked the part. He has a charisma, a strong presence. I think he made the jump, but I'm not sure that he stuck the landing. I didn't really get strong captain from him. I got more of a strong captain from Lorca, and he was ended up being a bad guy. But he started off very Kirk-like, kind of like had a swagger and was kind of laid back. But then it that kind of wore a little bit too thin. I just never got a sense that he established himself as the authority on the bridge. People were constantly questioning him. Saru kind of put him in his place a little bit. Michael insisted to go on the away mission and he relented. Which brings me back to the asteroid scene. This is Captain Pike. He's the captain. I don't know why it was written where Michael had to be the one to save him. He seemed really helpless in that scene. I'm all for girl power. I have no problem with that. But do they have to write it where Michael has to be the hero every time? Can't she be weak at some points and need assistance? This was Captain Pike's time to shine, to establish him as an authoritative leader for this starship. But he just, in that scene, he came off as very weak. And I can't help it, but that leads me back to, hey, if you're going to take 3 glass pods into an asteroid field where rocks are whizzing by, it makes even less sense that you would eject into those rocks. So there's that. In regards to Dr. Culber, if this is how he's coming back, if this is the only way we're going to get him back, I'm not going to be very happy about that. I need more than just holograms. There are 2 characters I really hope that they shine a spotlight on. The first character is, I think her name is S02E01. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I love her character just from her look alone. This is a character that has a look that I've never seen on Star Trek before, so I really want to learn more about her. The woman who is the augmented human, I can't remember her name, Ariel, I think it is, something like that. Want to learn more about her, how she got to become like that. I hope it has nothing to do with anything Borg, but curious to learn more about her. Hope to learn more about those 2 characters this season. Which leads us to the main character, the main new character that we get introduced to in this series, Baby Spock. It's Baby Spock. Not much happens with that character, but I think they're off to a bad start. I just don't imagine that Spock would be so emotional that he would close the door on anyone who is there to meet him. Or maybe a way of looking at it, to be fair, is that because he's still a youngster, or he's older than a toddler. It looked like he was maybe 4 or 5. Maybe he hasn't undergone the rituals required to fully purge emotions, so that's why he behaved in such a petulant manner. Okay, I'll give you that. I just came to that enlightenment while I was giving this review just now, so I'll let that go. But I hope they evolve that character away from what I saw this past Thursday, and he becomes more logical and starts to undergo that transformation where he becomes more about logic. So there you have it, my review of the first episode of Season 2 of Star Trek Discovery. Looks like we're going to get more fast-paced, fast action, lots of effects, more plot-driven, less character-driven. It looks that way, I could be wrong. But it's going to be, they're going to double down on what they did last season, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I just hope that they give me more of that bridge crew ensemble. Give me a Captain Pike who's strong, and I want to see him kick a little ass and put people in their place to let me know that he's that authoritative captain. If they give me that, I'll be happy. All right, I'll see you next week.